agreed on a JCPOA until the point where it was terminated. Again, that too is a fact.
That's a fact.
It is a fact, yes. If I mean, you can find out when did Iran start enriching uranium past 3%. It will tell you that they began enriching uranium past 3% after Donald Trump terminated the agreement that they had with Obama. Okay. Secondly, you come to the you come to the negotiating table. People come with their positions. America comes and says, you are going to have no uranium enrichment program. You are going to terminate whatever programs you've had. You're going to cease trying to enrich uranium, right? And Iran says, well, we are not going to do that. We need it. And we are not going to be buying products that we can make. So we are going to enrich uranium. Now, normally in a negotiation, the proper question would be, okay, to what extent do you want to enrich? But that was not the conversation. According to the Americans and Israel, Iran does not have a right to have a nuclear program, whether civilian or military. They just have no right to have that. Right? Then Iran says, well, by the way, we already have a 450 kilograms, 66% enriched uranium. You already know that. And I mean, it's not Iran who said it. Everybody knew. Or those who are versed with the nuclear weapons, they will tell you that with that amount of uranium, Iran could come up with maybe 10 to 11 nuclear weapons. Those were facts. It wasn't something that Iran was using to brag or to intimidate. No, I believe the Americans were already aware of that fact. So the fact that the Iranian negotiator put that on the table and said, you know, that we already have this, was not threatening America in any way. It wasn't intending to intimidate America in any way. It was just mere facts that's open to the public, that the Americans knew that they had this amount of uranium enriched to this certain level, and that if they really needed to use it, they could make this number of weapons. It wasn't a threat. It was just a step. But again, when you use amateurs like Witkoff and what's his name, Jared Kushner, these are not diplomats. These are not negotiators. Yes, they might be real estate moguls, but again, the real estate business is not the same. Is not even close to to diplomacy. So when you have these novice and these as your top negotiators, this is what you get. They go for negotiation, they misunderstand the process, they misunderstand the comments, and then they bring back 40 info. Because again, I believe they came back to Trump and said, we have been threatened by Iran. And that is they saw that statement as a threat. And when they came back to Trump, they said the Iranians have threatened us with 10 nuclear weapons. But again, these are people who should be buying and selling houses and developing basements and doing that, not negotiating, not carrying the fate of the American people on their head. They are not equipped for this task. They are not qualified for this task. And that's why the Iranians are saying that even let's just say we want to talk to someone. We are not going to be talking to the jokers that you sent before. We are going to be talking with someone serious. I mean, I'm sure you've heard that. I mean, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner should be buying and selling houses. We all know that. They are real estate moguls. They are not diplomats. Diplomacy 101. They don't even know where to start. That's why a simple statement of facts came across as a threat. And in my opinion, it's one of the reasons why this was happening, because these jokers came back and misrepresented the conversations that they had with Iran. Again, that's my opinion. So again, the point I'm saying is, yes, Iran has a right to enrich uranium. Now, what we need to agree on, and that's the only way this war is going to end, is recognizing Iran's right to enrich, and now having a conversation as to, okay, since you're insisting that you want to enrich for civilian purposes, you can only enrich until this point, and then the body that is responsible for managing and supervising nuclear sites could come in, and then they could have a completely different negotiation. Iran has been willing to negotiate with the United States, has been on the table. And each time they've come to the table, they've ended up being attacked. So yes, diplomacy had worked in the past and could have worked this time. A bet for Donald Trump.
Okay. Question: when did you think Iran had to uranium?
Sorry, what?
When did you think Iran had 3% uranium?
Iran had 3% uranium up until the time of the JCPOA.
Oh, Iran had 3% uranium in 2006.
When did the JCPOA happen?
I don't know when it happened. I know Trump withdrew in 2018.
Yeah, again, the point, what I said is they've had 3% up until JCPOA was terminated, which means maybe they had enriched up to 3%. But
Okay,
the agreement with Obama was that you would stay at 3%,
right,
and you wouldn't do any more.
Okay. Let's go with that match. You have 3% in 2006.
Yeah.
Then in 2021, you announced that you have 60%. So are we saying that it took them 4 years, 4 years, 5 years to move from 3% to 60%?
I don't know. I can't say. I can't say. Oh, they started enriching from at this point and they got to this point. At this point. All I know is that they only started enriching past 3% after JCPOA was terminated. Whether they used the last month of 2001 to enrich to 60, or they were gradually enriching to 60, that is not.
A lot of this we are not privy to a lot of the information here. Yeah. These are high level conversations that we do not have any of the facts here. Yeah. But for you to come and say these are real estate moguls who are supposed to be buying and selling house and have nothing to do with diplomacy. I mean, do you need any serious degree to be able to carry out that kind of diplomacy? I mean, you have been entrusted by the power of the United States. Surely there's a level of competence that you ought to have to be given that solemn.
Can you explain? Sorry to cut you short. Can you tell me what Jared Kushner has under his belt?
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, what do you mean by you don't know? He's not a diplomat. Never been a diplomat. Did not study diplomacy. Did not study international politics. Had nothing to do with administration. He has no background. So it's not like we don't know. That is a fact. You can Google and say what did he study? Well, it will have nothing to do with that.
I mean, what did Trump study? He's the president of the United States. It doesn't matter with these things because these are high-level stakes that you are representing a particular ideology, a particular philosophy.
That's why Donald Trump does not go out to negotiate. That's why there is
does not go out to negotiate.
Trump. Yes, Donald Trump does not sit down to conduct a negotiation.
Really?
The president of the United States does not sit down to conduct a negotiation, Ghana. Negotiations are why is Jared Kushner and why isn't Donald Trump going himself?
Maybe I'm not understanding your question. No, because
I didn't ask a question.
Yeah, well, he needs people to represent him.
I agree.
So
people who are qualified to do it.
Right.
That's why there's a state department. That's why there is a state department. That's why there's a ministry of foreign. That's why you have people who are trained and who have spent years mastering the act of diplomacy, understanding the party you're negotiating with, just understanding their culture, their background, how they speak, how they communicate, what they mean. It takes time for people to master that. You don't leave your office in downtown New York selling real estate and sitting in front of an opponent to negotiate a peace treaty.
So he needed to have a PhD in negotiation.
No, that's not what I said. Now you're misquoting. I said you need to have at least a certain basic level of training to do that.
Come on. I don't know. I've never been in this kind of negotiation before, but I think if a president is sending you to negotiate on his behalf, you are speaking on the president's behalf. Okay, this is what we want out of this negotiation. These are the compromises that we can make. What are you coming to the table with? These are the compromises that we suggest that you make. I don't think you need to be sophisticated to be able to carry that kind of high-level negotiation.
And now you call it high level negotiation, and there you say you don't need to be sophisticated. How are we? If it's high level, you need at least some level of high stake. Yeah, then you need at least some level of understanding of what is going on to be able to carry out that negotiation. It's not just about coming and sitting down with a list of things that I want and a list of compromises I need you to make. It's not just all about that. It's a lot more to that than just coming out with a list and saying, okay, this is what I need, and that's what you need to compromise. I get a feeling that we feel like it's something that is so easy that even you would pick me and put me in front of, or put me to go negotiate a deal that big.
We can go back and forth whether they're qualified or not. I mean, the president.
I've asked you for their qualifications, but you're not able to give me.
Well, according to you, they are not qualified. But what does it matter when the president picked them? He's the one. He's the commander in chief. He's the one who decides, represents him in any negotiation, whether you like it or not, whether you think they are qualified or not. It does not matter. The president chose them to be able to make that negotiation on his behalf. If tomorrow another president comes and thinks that people are not competent enough, they're going to kick them out, and they're going to say this. I mean, all the people who are mastered everything, they still have not been able to stop all the wars in the world. So,
and then imagine people who know nothing about wars and nothing about negotiation. Imagine how bad things could turn.
So
you get the point I'm trying to make. Do you get the point I'm trying to make now?
Well, I get the point, but at the end of the day,
are still finding it hard to sometimes negotiate. And then imagine people who really are not really have not been built in that field. Imagine how much mistakes or how much misunderstanding will come out of that.
It doesn't matter whether we think they are qualified or not. The point is the person who was voted by the majority of Americans, who is the president of the United States, has picked these people. That alone gives them the authority to be able to negotiate on behalf of the country. Whether we like it or not,
it will not be the first time Donald Trump has picked people who are not qualified.
Well, it seems to be working. I mean, many people say he himself was not qualified, but he has been president twice. I mean, how is that working for the people who thought he was not qualified? Okay.
I said Donald Trump has been picking people who are not qualified to represent him. It happened during his first government. He himself criticized and lamented some of the choices that he picked. So I'm saying that if he has picked people who are not qualified to represent him last time, he is as well doing the same this time around. Again, that is so. Again, William Frew, I hear what you're saying. You say let's assume that the advisors are placed at the disposal of Kushner and Witkoff.
Right.
Makes sense. That's a good defense to that.
Yeah,
makes a lot of sense. Yes.
Well, because you make it sound like this.
No, but again, I still believe that even with advisors, I think there's certain
they're not qualified.
There's definitely a certain level of knowledge and background that is required to carry out high stake